such a great job of not, they're really just focusing on themselves. Like Carlin just said, she doesn't look at bracketology or anything like that. Where do you think that comes from the players themselves?
Well, I've said this many times this year, but it's a player-led team, and we have some veterans who just understand how to win, and they understand what not to do and what to do, and they've listened to the coaches, not just this year, but for a lot of years, talking about it's all about us playing our best self. If we get too focused on things we can't control our opponent, we can't control what the media says about the bracket, we can't control anybody else's stats, we can just control how we go out and play.
You've gotten the highest seed in program history the last 2 seasons, number 3 being the highest now. Just you as a coach being here for so long, what does that accomplishment mean to you to see the program where it is right now?
Well, honestly, I didn't know that. I guess I would have thought that back when Monica was here, we might have gotten seeded higher, but now that you say that, I remember being a little bitter about a 7 seed when we were ranked number 1 all year. I am very proud of this program. Obviously, I've invested a lot of years and a lot of my life and my time into Lady Ball softball, but it's not just me. It's the coaching staff, it's the support staff, it's the administration, it's everybody, and ultimately it's all about the players. Every win that we get is because the players go out there and win. They're the ones that put it all on the line every single day. So we've had a lot of great players here over the years, and they're the reason for the seeds we've had, and these players are the reason for us having a 3 seed.
You mentioned last year, the team also you described as a player-led team.
Mm-hmm.
As a head coach, how do you cultivate that sort of environment?
Well, a lot of time into really teaching them how to be a leader. And honestly, I have to say this, the things we do, the books we read, the meetings we have, the lessons we try to teach, it's for me just as much as them. I mean, I learn as we go, and they learn as we go, and we learn together. But I think to be really, really successful, there has to come a point in the season where they're not turning to the coach for everything. They are, spreading those messages amongst themselves. The things that you've been saying as a coach, you can hear them saying to each other. Because it's much more powerful when it comes from a teammate. The person they really don't want to let down is the girl to their left and right. So when they get that kind of feedback and encouragement and maybe a little push at times from a teammate, it's going to mean so much more than coming from me.
You've experienced a lot of these selection show nights as a head coach. What keeps each one special and different?
It's just so exciting to know that tonight there's 64 teams left playing softball, and you're one of them, and you're a team that has a chance to compete for a championship. There's a championship at stake this weekend, regional championship, and that's where our focus is. But today is always a weird day for me because I like to be able to have somebody to study for, and today it's like I really can't work because I have no idea who we're playing, and it kind of drives me crazy. So now I'm just really excited to know who we're playing so I can get to work as soon as we finish this interview.
What is it about tournament time, whether it doesn't matter the sport, we see it in men's and women's basketball, baseball, softball, about these mid-major teams that come into power conference stadiums and they compete so well. What is it about this time of year that you think brings that out of them?
Well, most of them, they've just come off winning a championship. For the most part, there's not a lot of at-large bids in those conferences, so they've had to win their tournament championship. And I remember, when we were at UTC, that was the case. And so you've just played in a, hey, win or go home situation. A little different for us in the SEC where we pretty much know everybody's going to go. And so the tournament is, it's a great tournament because of the quality of teams, but your season isn't on the line. And so I think they kind of ride that wave of momentum into regionals, and you have nothing to lose. Again, I remember being at Chattanooga. Hey, you're not supposed to go, to an Alabama or Georgia or Florida or Tennessee and win that regional. So you just go in there like, hey, let's just have fun, and when you're loose, you play well.
How do you avoid looking ahead beyond this regional to the Super and then to Oklahoma City?
We avoid it because it happened to us in 21 and 22. And I've got, Kiki Malloy and Riley West, and, that's just probably still when they think about those years and losing in regionals out here on this field, I think the bitterness can probably swell up inside them pretty fast. I know it does in me. So they, more than anybody, will be able to keep our team focused on Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday here.
What are some of the biggest benefits that you've seen throughout the years of being able to host a regional and then potentially a super regional?
Fans. You get Sherry Parker League going and the fans stomping their feet and the locos leading cheers, and it's an electric environment, and it really fuels our team, really fuels the energy. And then, of course, just staying at home, getting to be in the comfort of your own environment, sleep in your own bed, things like that. Those are always positives.
What are the challenges in preparation when you're playing so many different opponents that you're not familiar with in such a short amount of time?
Yeah, I mean, it takes us back to before we started conference play when we were playing tournaments, and we'd have 4 or 5 teams we had to prepare for. So in a way, 3 seems somewhat manageable, but I think that's where you go back through your whole season and you try to find somebody you face that is going to be similar to the pitching you might see from, Dayton or Miami of Ohio or Virginia, and try to make some comparisons there. And I think that's the benefit of playing such a good schedule and playing such a varied schedule is there's nothing that we haven't seen yet. And we just need to make those comparisons for our girls so that it can be a little bit easier for them to comprehend.
I'm sure nobody was happy leaving Thursday night at the SEC tournament. To have those, extra days here, how did you kind of see, maybe some of the more competitive leaders on this team kind of stew on that, and how do you feel like it's going to fuel this team?
Well, so get my days mixed up because we played Thursday. So Friday we flew home. Saturday morning, the coaches were in here at 8:30 and we had a 2-hour coaches meeting. And practice wasn't supposed to start till 1. We were starting with a team meeting at 1. And as the coaches were wrapping up, the players were filing in. And I started seeing them putting on their practice stuff. And I was like, what are you guys doing? They said, we have a team meeting at 11:30. And I said, oh, okay. And they went in and had a meeting, and some of them went out and started to get extra work. And I didn't ask what their meeting was about, but I have a feeling it was, hey, we don't want to be feeling the way we felt Thursday anymore, and let's get to work and make sure that doesn't happen.
What's it like as a coach to see something like that happen just organically with your players?
It's really gratifying, and again, that's when you know that your players are doing the leading. And if I had told them, hey, you need to get in here and you need to do this and that, it would have been, it's a have to, not a want to. When the players are initiating it, it's a want to.
Is there anything you feel like you got out of those extra days from having an early exit that maybe you wouldn't have been able to do if you had stayed the whole week through Saturday night?
That's kind of the double-edged sword with the tournament, the SEC tournament. Sometimes it's not bad to be able to get a little bit more rest, but also reflect on, okay, that loss really stung, and the next one is going to sting a whole lot harder. And then we also had a really good practice yesterday. Just a really good workout, really focused, and I think, got better at things we need to get better at.
How does it benefit you to have some transfers coming in from Oklahoma who have that national championship experience going into the postseason?
I think it's huge, and I've encouraged our players all season to lean on them and ask them questions about, because it's not something you have to do different in hitting or pitching or fielding. It's maybe your team chemistry, or maybe your grit, or maybe, hey, players getting extra work. It's all those things that are outside of a normal practice structure. And I've asked those players, give me some things that you think were critical in those teams winning championships besides the obvious one of talent.
You've made 20 straight NCAA tournaments, hosted in the 19th since national seeding. What's been the key to maintaining success for that long?
Recruiting, first of all. If you don't have great players, you're not going to be in a position to be a top 16 seed and host. And then it's you surround yourself with really, really good people. We've had a lot of consistency here, obviously in head coaching, but even in our assistant coaching staffs. Just, not a lot of turnover. This is a place that people come and they want to stay. And so between that and then just the way the administration supports us, I couldn't be, more thrilled with working for Danny and his whole staff and everything they pour into softball. They want us to be the best.
Thursday nights, offensive struggle and not being able to get timely hits. Is that a concern for you going in the postseason, or is that more of just kind of a mindset reset? We need to attack this differently.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't say it's a concern. I think it's they know that, hey, we can't have another game like that because it puts a lot of pressure on our pitchers who have shown that they can shoulder it. But also we have really talented players in that 1 through 9 lineup. And I think it's just them understanding we've got to make adjustments sooner, and if we don't get it done, we flush it and we move on, and we fail quickly. And I think that reminded us that sometimes if we're not succeeding, we might stew on it just a little bit too long.
You got time for one more?
would you say that having that veteran leadership is most valuable in the postseason?
Absolutely, absolutely. They, I didn't even have to tell the team, hey, okay, now that finals are ending and you got more free time on your hands, here's what not to do. Here's how to spend that time. They're the ones that brought it up, and they're ahead of me on a lot of things because they know the drill. Like I said, they've seen us have bitter defeats out here, and then they've been a part of last year having just the biggest victories and the greatest feeling you can have, knowing you're moving on in postseason and eventually getting to OKC.
Thank you, guys.